how many of the enterprises that exist in Tunisia are actually capable of doing all those things that I mentioned, which is combine the resources that they find in the world, combine the talents of people, raise capital, and get credit. And the reply is 15%. So that doesn't mean that there's 85% of the enterprises that are in the black market, for example, like in the United States, or in Italy, or in Spain, which essentially are tax evaders. What we're saying is that 85% of all those entities that the Tunisians have created to combine, get wealth, get capital, and do credit can do neither of those. In other words, if Steve Jobs in the United States could go and live in a garage that is probably no bigger than an informal enterprise in Tunisia, he can do all of the things we talked about before. In Tunisia, in 85% of the cases, he could not form Apple or get anywhere close to even that. So 85% shouldn't actually make anybody feel bad. In the case, as a matter of fact, of Egypt, it's about 86%. In the case of Tanzania, it's about 98%. So these are not uncommon figures for developing countries. So dealing with informality is not a marginal problem. It is an essential problem, because these enterprises are nothing else than the product of government. And at the end, you can do a first cleanup, but if you want to make sure that this doesn't happen again, you have to find out what is it that makes the Tunisian government produce so many obstacles without anybody being really informed in advance of what's happening. We've only now started looking at some of the obstacles. And so we've got the fact that it can take up to 500 days to use land for the purpose of creating a building. And maybe we'll find out that to create an enterprise, I think the first studies indicate that it's about 150 days. Well, you know, in the United States, it's a couple of hours. The second thing that they have to do is make sure that all the assets that people have are fungible, that the titles are kept up to date. Let's start thinking of a house. I have a house that's worth, say, 500,000 dinars here, and you're going to buy it. And you are in a total agreement. And then at the moment of buying it, you say, is it a house that is legal, that is properly titled, or is it not titled? Is it formal or is it informal? Imagine I said it's informal, but it's okay. All the neighbors know I own it, and all my friends know I own it, and I'm an honest guy. Check me out. How much are you going to pay for that $500,000 house? Now, probably you wouldn't even pay half as much. Probably you wouldn't pay even a third as much. It's difficult to say. It depends how bad you need it. But obviously, by making something legal, the price of everything, of anything that is made legal, is going to rise substantially. Try and think of anything of value that circulates internationally, aside from drugs or criminal products, that is not on a legal piece of paper. Whether it's shares or stock or ownership titles or degrees from the University of Williams College. Try and think of anything that has value that is not on a piece of paper. Probably in most Tunisian homes, a house is just a home. But in places like Europe and the United States, a house is a home, and it's collateral, and it's a guarantee, and it's an address where you can collect debts, and it's a place that you can supply to electricity, and you'll always know who is consuming because you can turn it off and you can turn it on. So you can make collectible. And the same thing regarding any services, whether they be energetic or they water. You've got more incinerated informals than any other country has by like about 63. So it's something that you can, that your country's already sensitive to. So that's I think what you've got. I mean, you had a major revolution in this country that got triggered by revolting informals. What you have to do is start paying attention to what they have to say, because they're the source of our information. That's where we get our information from.